Was Hollywood created by accident or on purpose with an agenda? That's the first question.
I think pretty early they knew the camera would have the power to change society on a mass scale. I don't know that each of the 5 studios was created on purpose, but I do think there was the idea that we can, utilize this amazing technology to, for propaganda purposes, which is what it first was used for.
Who used
like
it?
Howard Hughes early on. I mean,
Used it for what?
The movie Hell's Angels, that was a propaganda film, like in the 20s.
About what?
World War I propaganda. So
there is a multimedia conglomerate that is the largest in the world.
Some of the big corporations that own everything.
Based on a
Oh, okay.
They were created by
Disney.
Yeah.
They were created by a 3-letter thing.
So,
Is that 100% correct?
Yes.
I have 3 books on that.
Yeah, that's true.
That I wrote.
That Disney,
Yeah.
the big D, was created by, you're telling me by the CIA?
They were co-opted.
Bill Donovan helped Walt get Florida thing going.
No, you have to start like this. There's a guy named Bill Donovan. So give us a little backstory.
So William Donovan is the first guy chosen to be the head of the OSS.
What is the OSS?
That's the predecessor to the CIA.
Okay.
1947.
And what did OSS stand for?
Office of Strategic Services.
Okay, so here's how I'm going to help you guys, because you guys are like talking about like microbiology and expect us all to know. So let's dumb it down. So, hi, Jamie. So there's before the CIA, there's something called the OSS. It stood for this. There was a man, blah, blah. Try to do it like that.
There was a guy.
Okay.
His name was William Donovan.
Yes.
Wild Bill.
Yes.
And the government said, you run this intelligence network that will be private and secret, and it won't be in the military anymore, because prior to that, it was kind of military that did intelligence. Now it will be this secret sort of office of black ops stuff, right? And it will answer to basically nobody. And that was called the OSS in 1942. And then a few years later, 1947.
What was it formed for?
For Black Ops. It's the Office of Strategic Services.
Black Ops, there's anything that is
to do covert operations.
Covert operations.
Yeah, but also surveillance, sabotage, all kinds of things, right?
Against us.
Ostensibly against the enemies of America, but also to control
us,
the domestic population.
Got
Exactly.
it. Good.
And so
that fucking gummy's kicking in on you. I'm looking at your eyes. Go ahead.
So
you're gummied, you're not gummied. Good. All right.
So Walt was helped by Bill Donovan to get the land in Florida and to help set all that up. And I think the deal.
How did they get involved with Walt?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
So the day after Pearl Harbor, you remember that?
Yeah, my father told me he got a call or something. He was 12.
The Walt Disney Studios was commandeered by the United States government to produce propaganda films. So 90% of all of their resources went into creating wartime propaganda films for soldiers and for public.
Early cartoons?
Yeah.
Or films?
Both.
Cartoons, mostly.
Okay. Because I remember that Steamboat Willie time.
This was 1941, so I think Snow White was around 35-ish.
Is that an original Disney idea, or was that what they call it, just basic?
What, Snow White?
Yeah, was that a Disney idea, or was that what do they call that?
That was one of those fairy.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Grimm's fairy tale.
Okay, so it was a general idea. Okay.
But anyways, so the United States government put Walt in charge of propaganda, so he created films about paying your taxes.
Why did they find Walt? How?
Just because he was so he was so good at animation.
Okay.
And
so he was a young animator, and someone
Yeah.
in the government discovered him.
Yeah.
And he was making his rounds.
And they're like, we're taking over this studio and we're making cartoons about how Donald Duck is going to enlist and how Minnie Mouse saves her bacon grease for munitions, And not a lot of people know that back in those days, not everybody paid their taxes like they do now.
Okay.
And it was actually a cartoon called The New Spirit with Donald Duck showing you how Donald pays his taxes dutifully. Taxes to beat the Axis was their tagline.
Taxes to be what?
Taxes to beat the Axis.
What's the Axis?
Axis powers like Germany, Japan, and
Okay, all right.
so you can actually get a whole DVD series called Walt Disney on the Front Lines. And they have all these weird cartoons about the making of a Nazi. Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
So there's a cartoon called Making of a Nazi, and it's the life of a Nazi youth, this little kid named Hans, and they show you how the Nazis come and they take Hans away from his mother as soon as possible when he's very young, and they put him in the Hitler Youth and teach him and brainwash him basically how to be a trained killer with no mind.
And who made that movie?
Disney.
Because why?
Because the army commissioned him to do all of these propaganda films.
And it was true.
Yeah.
That's how they did raise the German soldiers, Nazi soldiers.
Yeah, that part's true. So yeah, all of these weird old wartime cartoons, look them up on YouTube. They're really interesting. Chicken Little is not about a stupid little chicken. It's actually like a parable about believing propaganda.
Yeah.
The what?
Chicken Little.
No, the what propaganda?
Just believing propaganda, ironically.
Meaning?
Meaning you should believe the propaganda.
About how they use psychology to lead crowds into being harvested, basically. The sly fox in Chicken Little uses propaganda and Chicken Little to get all of the chickens to leave their safe coop and into the foxhole so he can eat them.
And so that film is to kind of prime the human for the same thing?
Well, they're saying this is Hitler techniques.
Oh, that was Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said Chicken Little and they used it for Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's cartoons of Donald Duck reading Mein Kampf.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
So this was to be made to show the evils of Nazi Germany
Right.
through cartoons.
Exactly.
But that's not is that a bad thing?
Well, it's just pointing out that it's government
It
property.
was government property.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Hitchcock did the same thing. He was filming World War II propaganda for British intelligence, actually.
British intelligence. So this was all these other countries, ours included, to defeat Germany.
At that time,
So
yeah.
it was a good thing.
Yeah, but the propaganda continues on because then you have...
So but what you're saying is these independent creative studios were not, they were used by the government. Yeah. Okay. So let's stay on Disney for a second.
Okay.
My fucking brain. Today it's still loaded up. And how? Simple way. Go simple.
Today Disney is
Loaded up. The box is loaded up, meaning the deck is stacked. The deck is stacked.
Well, we think that Disney is the most sophisticated mind control technology there is.
You too.
And our fans and people who we work with and colleagues.
And I believe that, but how? Explain that to people. You got to talk in that microphone a little bit more. You can pull it towards you.
So Walt Disney, not only did he work with the CIA, he also worked with Werner von Braun and the FBI.
Werner von Braun was a Nazi?
Yes.
Okay. Filmmaker?
Rocket scientist.
Okay. Go ahead.
Who was brought over with Project Paperclip after World War II to...
That's all the NASA guys.
Yes. Working also with Walt Disney.
Okay. I didn't know that Disney part of it, but go ahead.
Yes. So these films are highly sophisticated mind control propaganda for children that spans over generations now. It's been, 6 generations that have grown up on Disney.
Yes.
And it is trusted as some sort of like innocent Americana, family value company.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually dig deeper into what their values are and the creation of the theme parks and things like that, it gets really weird.
You got to go into it.
The theme parks, for example, they have
Oh, I'm saying the weird. So go.
right. The theme parks have deals with the Department of Defense, right? So this is 20 years ago that Disney started taking your DNA when you thumbprint in. That was a DoD program from 20 years ago. And part of the reason for that is because at Disney, when you walk into like Epcot, right? Epcot, the big golf ball, that's actually sponsored by Siemens Corporation, which is giant, mega corp, right?
What is Siemens
It
Corporation?
was a Yahtzee
It's like a
corporation.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's like a big old school, like, World War II era
What?
Yahtzee.
Above the-
What's Yahtzee?
Tiny
you say
Mustache
that?
Man Company.
I don't know what you can say.
Tiny Mustache.
Oh, you mean it was a Nazi corporation?
Yeah.
What was Siemens Corporation?
So, okay.
Okay.
Almost every ride in the theme park is sponsored by
Like
a military
Monsanto,
industrial
yeah.
corporation.
Hold on, one at a time. Say what? Every ride,
Almost every ride is sponsored by a military industrial corporation.
meaning they gave them money, or
Yes.
it says their
It's an
symbols on it.
advertisement and a propaganda and a brainwashing tool to get you accepting of these things. Like he
Explain
said-
one.
Okay,
The Monsanto.
UNESCO does It's a Small World.
Say it again.
UNESCO,
What is UNESCO?
it is a like NGO.
No, it's the United Nations Education Culture Organization, right?
Yes. And so they sponsor It's a Small World.
Right. And they
How?
are heavily pushing the stabbies and
Okay, go
depopulation.
Go slow. How do they sponsor Small World?
Well, each ride is sponsored in the sense that not just money.
When you're saying sponsor, I want to see. I'm thinking there's a big
There's
thing.
a plaque.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a giant
Where is
plaque.
their plaque at?
So next
Each
time
ride
you go on a
has a
ride
plaque.
at Disney.
I'm going to keep you guys very clear.
Okay.
Where's the? So there is a plaque.
Yeah. Next time
Okay.
you go on a ride at Disney, around the entrance or the exit or whatever, or even inside the actual ride itself, they'll tell you that our sponsor is this. Like ExxonMobil does Land of the Dinosaurs.
Chiquita Banana.
Chiquita Banana does this boat ride.
So are they being paid by those companies?
Mhm.
And Disney has its own money. So why would it take a sponsor?
Well, because these all work together. It's part of a conglomerate, right? That's that 150, 300 people we're talking about, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has these sponsors, and it has their plaque, and you're saying there's things that affect us on the unconscious level that we don't realize is happening to us.
Yeah, and just
Give me the best ride and
Well,
the best example.
one, when you go to Epcot and you go to like Norway, I think I was like 10 years when I saw this one. It might not be there still, but it's all about how we need offshore drilling and how oil is so important to the economy. And they have like the oil rigs there in the ride.
In the Epcot Center.
Yeah,
Okay. I haven't done that one in a while.
yeah.
But okay, but that would make no sense because they want to try to get rid of fossil fuels, right?
Well, this was many years ago. But
Well,
I did see Land of the Dinosaurs that was sponsored by ExxonMobil
Right.
and saying that's fossil fuels that we need to keep, the lights on.
Well, the
I'm going to pick a ride, and you guys tell me how it's a CIA
Here's one,
government
here's one.
operated.
I got a perfect example.
Splash Mountain.
There is Masonic stuff on there. I have
Yeah.
the perfect example. You ready? You've heard of Monsanto, right?
Of course.
The biggest evil
Yes.
corporation. So
And they're thriving.
they were the first to sponsor Tomorrowland in Disneyland. So you go to Tomorrowland, sponsored by Monsanto, and it's just a big commercial
it's a
bazaar
big commercial, yeah.
for your plastic house or your irradiated foods, and they have models of this is going to be your kitchen in the future. So Tomorrowland was an expo for Monsanto.
That makes sense. So, but they sneakily put it in there.
Yeah.
Okay.